Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Jen's Books and happy Friday. And I hope you have a wonderful bank holiday if you're based in the UK and have a great Monday off. My name's Jenny and my channel follows my challenge to read 100 books in 2023, a challenge that I don't mind telling you I am spanking so far. I'm even thinking I might have to increase the number, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I don't want to tempt fate, so I want to get to that 100 first and then we'll see where we get up to. So this is a book haul video, and I'm very much aware that I said in my last haul video that I wouldn't do any more haul videos or was trying to read the books I've got. I have quite a lot of books in my list of my pile to read, but there's a few more that I've kind of picked up in the last month that I wanted to share with you. So the first couple of books that I've bought are actually books I've already read and reviewed in other videos for this channel. So if those are books that you'd like to find out more about, please go back and you'll find listed in the descriptions where I talk about these. So the first one, which will be no surprise to those of you who saw my book of the month for April, is The Children of Paradise by Camilla Gradova. And I really enjoyed this book. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I'm aware that I have reviewed it previously. So this is a book about a character who calls herself Holly, but that's not her real name, who moves to a new town, needs a job, and ends up working at this rather dilapidated old movie theatre. And there she meets this whole range of quite strange and other employees who originally are quite standoffish with her, but eventually become kind of like a family. And the story follows what happens when they try to modernise the cinema and make changes. If you like Angela Carter, I'm sure that you would enjoy this. It's not going to be to everybody's taste, but I really loved it. It didn't quite make the short list for the Women's Prize for Fiction, but it did make the long list, and I definitely think it's worth giving a go. The second book is Vladimir by Julia May Jonas, and this is a book that, again, I read earlier in the year. There are things about it that I didn't love. It kind of goes off the rails a bit at one point. But I really enjoyed reading it, so much so that I did want a proper copy after reading it on the Kindle. And I love this version so much more than the paperback cover. I just think it's stunning with all that red. Red is my favourite colour, and I just couldn't resist this. So I brought a second-hand copy so that I could have the hardback. Just so happens it's signed as well, which is a bit of a treat. But this is a book about a professor who works at a university, and her husband's also a professor, and he's been accused of inappropriate behaviour with some of his female students. And it's all about how their relationship suffers from that revelation, and also the narrator's growing attraction to a new tutor who works at the university called Vladimir. So again, I really enjoyed this one, and one that I think is worth picking up. So the next lot are all books that I haven't read before. There's a couple here from a conference that I was at in London recently, and this is Alice in the North, who's by a fabulous writer called Anne Caldwell. This is a collection of prose poems based in the north of England. I picked this up because I know Anne's a fantastic writer, and also because the subject matter really intrigues me, particularly as my research is based around the north of England. So it says, Alice in the North is a sequence of prose poems that form a love song to the north, its post-industrial landscapes, wild uplands, obsession with weather, seasonal change and awkwardness. Like Lewis Carroll's Alice before her, the lead character shifts and changes as her journey across the north continues. She is at turns playful, sexy, rebellious and adventurous, carving a new identity for the region as she goes. And I haven't had a proper look at this yet. I've dipped in, and it really rang but true to me, some of these observations and descriptions of locations in the northwest. So I'm really looking forward to reading this through properly. The next book is also one that I picked up at the same conference, which is a novella by the fantastic novelist Sarah Butler, and it's called Not Home. And this is a book that basically centres around an apartment block and all the different characters that live in that apartment block. And I think this was part of a project, but I like the fact that I don't know much about it actually. And Sarah gifted this to me, so I'm really looking forward to reading it and finding out a bit more. It says a group of B&B residents in Manchester worked with writer Sarah Butler and photographer Stephen King, don't think it's that Stephen King, to create portraits and tell their stories. This collection of images and text captures the everyday struggles faced by those living in unsupported temporary accommodation, as well as celebrating people's resourcefulness and strength. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about this. It's one of those ones I don't know a whole lot about, and that can be really actually makes it more exciting to read. The next one, I went to a talk in Preston recently by Dr. Stone, and this is 111 dark places in England that you shouldn't miss. And this is basically sort of an exploration through the country of places that are linked to dark tourism. So that's places of tragedy, places where that are linked with death, basically. So again, this is one that I picked up to help me with my research. And what I really like is, although it covers the whole of the UK, there is a lot in here about the north of England. So I'm really looking forward to reading that as well. Next is a classic that links again into my apocalyptic fiction reading, which is Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. This is always on those lists. You must read before you die, both generally and also in terms of apocalyptic fiction. So it's about time I picked it up and gave it a go. It says on the back, the terrifyingly prophetic novel of a post-literature future. Guy Montag is a fireman. His job is to destroy the most illegal of commodities, the source of all discord and unhappiness, the printed book. Montag never questions the destruction or his own bland life until he is shown a past where people don't live in fear and a present where one sees the world through ideas. Montag starts hiding books in his home. Soon they'll make him run for his life. And this was the winner of the 2007 Pulitzer Prize as well. And I love that cover again. Lots of red. And so it's about time I picked that up. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I'd love to know if you've read this one before, what your thoughts are. The next couple of books are recommendations from Jen Campbell's channel. I found her to be a very reliable source of recommendations. The first one is Alice Thompson, the Book Collector. I was immediately drawn to this when I saw her talking about it because I'd read her previous book, Burnt Island, and really, really enjoyed it. And this is another sort of magic realist gothic foray into fiction. And again, it's quite short as well. It says, in Edwardian England, Violet has fairy tale existence, a loving husband, beautiful baby son and luxurious home. She wants for nothing, but soon after the birth of her baby, the idyll begins to disintegrate. Violet becomes obsessed by a book of fairy tales her husband has locked away in a safe. So I'm getting Bluebird vibes already here. Paranoid hallucinations begin to haunt her and she starts to question her sanity. Meanwhile, vulnerable young women are starting to disappear from the nearby asylum. Soon Violet herself is interred in the asylum for treatment, only to discover, on coming out, that her husband has hired a nanny while she has been away, the beautiful, enigmatic Clara. And again, I love the cover of this one as well, so I'm really looking forward to reading. This is sort of top of my priority for May for reading, alongside the second recommendation by Jen Campbell, which is In Delicacy by Amina Kane. And again, I fell in love with the cover of this one as well. The blurb for this one says, a ghostly feminist fable about class, desire, friendship and the battle to find one's true calling. In an undefined era and place, a cleaning woman at a museum of art aspires to do more than simply dust the paintings around her. She dreams of having the security and time to use her mind and the liberty to be a writer. She escapes her lot by marrying a rich man, but having gained a husband, a house, high society and a maid, finds that her new life of privilege is no less constrained. Not only has she taken up different forms of time-consuming labour, social and erotic, but she is now, however, passively forcing other women to clean up after her. Perhaps a more drastic solution is necessary. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. One of the things that Jen said about this, what I thought was quite interesting, was that she said the time period isn't quite stable. You're never quite sure when this is based. So I'm really looking forward to reading this and finding out a bit more. The next one is a bit of it feels like it might be a bit apocalyptic, but I don't know a huge amount it, and that's Metrodome by Tom Watson. It says on the back, for 12 years, Aina and Whitney have been in exile on an island for a crime they committed together, tethered to a croft by pills they take for survival every 8 hours. They've kept busy, Aina with her garden, her jigsaw, her music, Whitney with his sculptures and maps, but something is not right. Shipwrecks have begun washing up, supply drops have stopped, and on the day the punishment is meant to end, the warden does not come. Instead, a sheep appears, but sheep can't swim. Alina becomes convinced that they've been abandoned, that Whitney has been keeping secrets. As she starts testing the limits of their prison, investigating possible ways to escape, she is confronted by decisions that haunt her past. Little does she realise that her biggest choice is yet to come. sounds like a proper page turner. I'm really, really looking forward to reading this. Again, that is as much as I know about it, but I'm looking forward to getting stuck in. The last two books that I picked up are both books that are on shortlists for prizes, which is the big thing this time of year. So the first one is Time Shelter by Georgy Gospodinov, which is really the only one on the International Booker that really grabbed me from the start. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And again, fab cover, loads of different colour going on there. It says, in Time Shelter, an enigmatic flaneur named Gustin opens a clinic for the past that offers a promising treatment for Alzheimer's sufferers. Each floor reproduces a decade in minute detail, transporting patients back in time. But as the rooms become more convincing, an increasing number of healthy people seek out the clinic as a time shelter, hoping to escape from the horrors of our present. A development that results in an unexpected conundrum when the past begins to invade the present. So that's inspired me. I found that really interesting from the first time I heard the blurb for it. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And finally, one from the shortlist from the Women's Prize, which is Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. This is one of the ones I wanted to read right from the beginning, but had struggled to get hold of a copy of, like The Children of Paradise, actually, which I ended up buying on Kindle. So finally got my mitts on this, and this is Sarajevo, spring 1992. Each night, nationalist gangs erect barricades, splitting the diverse city into ethnic enclaves. Each morning, the residents, whether Muslim, Croat or Serb, push the makeshift barriers aside. When violence finally spills over, Zora, an artist and teacher, sends her family to safety in England while she remains. As the city falls under siege, Zara and her friends are forced to rebuild themselves over and over. Theirs is a breathtaking story of disintegration, resilience and hope. And again, as with most of these covers actually, just such a beautiful, stunning cover. I really love all the colour on there. And again, one that, you know, partly it's what the book's about. I'm really interested in reading more about Sarajevo, but look at that cover. Look at the colours. It's just stunning. I'm really into the colour for May. I don't know what it is. It must be that spring has finally sprung. But those are my reads for May. I'd love to know if there are any of those that you've read and what you think. As I say, if you're new to the channel, do like and subscribe and come along for book reviews, updates on how far I'm doing with my challenge and book hauls and all that other stuff that I love and hope that you love too. But in the meantime, have a fabulous weekend and I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.